for the Joan Quinn Profiles. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview, the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, LA Style, and Detour magazines, Joan covered the social set, the Hollywood hotshots, the international art scene, the mysteries of food, the excitement of travel, and the fabulous world of fashion. Joan continues to find creative people on the cutting edge who make things happen. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled is director Che Rae Adams. I say Che Rae Adams, and artist Charlotte Ince. And Charlotte Ince's work is on the set, so we'll be talking to her a little bit later. Director Che Rae Adams was born and raised in Los Angeles. She attended Hollywood High School Performing Arts, and she went to Cal State Northridge. She went to graduate school at University of Cincinnati, where you were in the music conservatory. Mm-hmm. Were you going to be in music?
No, but I did get some very valuable training in directing opera, musical theater, and drama.
Is that why you went there?
I actually went there because my aunt and uncle lived in Cincinnati, and I was visiting them.
Yes.
And I had an interview with the school just to check out the school and the city. And at the time, I was working at a theater called the Road Theater Company, which I worked at about 15 years ago. And I started talking to the school, and they asked me to come teach in exchange for a master's.
Is that right?
And I said, okay. So I
teach
taught
what?
I taught acting at the time. Now I teach writing, but at the time I taught acting, and it was a lot of fun. And I was able to get my master's at the same time.
And you learned directing there?
I did.
But did they have just a specific course for music directing?
No, they had, for example, Jonathan Eaton, who's one of the most sort of renowned opera directors. He taught us how to work with opera singers and direct them, and taught us a lot about opera history. And then I would take classes with Richard Hess, who's a very well-known musical theater director, and he taught us how to work in musical theater. And it is the #1 school in the country for musical theater. So the kids are amazing.
So do they do everything?
Lucky.
The kids do everything. They sing, they act, but basically music oriented or performing arts oriented.
It's performing arts, but it is a music conservatory.
It is.
Yeah.
And did you act yourself?
I had to take acting classes, which was very good because it really.
When you were there?
Yes. It really helped me understand actors even better. But I never got on stage. I'm a behind-the-scenes person. I never got on stage and did any acting, but I had to do it in class.
What happened at Cal State Northridge? Were you following this path to be a director or a writer or whatever?
Actually, it's interesting. I went to Cal State Northridge because I was an actress and I wanted to perform on stage. And midway through my schooling there, I decided that I wanted to try directing. So I switched in the middle of my education there. And ever since then, I've been directing. So I directed my first play there when I was 18.
At Northridge?
At Northridge.
And do they have a good drama department?
They have an excellent drama department. And I think a lot of the teachers that were there when I was there are still there. Peter Grego is one of the best, and it's just the students were amazing too. I was lucky to go at a time where the students were extremely talented and went on to work in the industry here. And
because I know their art department is great.
Yes, and their film department is very well renowned. Yeah.
So it's a good. I think it's like you don't think about Northridge. It's like kind of tucked away, but it has all these good schools.
It's a great reputation.
So you were going to be an actress.
Yes.
You decided not to act. You decided to direct. In the meantime, you founded that company you were just talking about?
I did. I came into, I think I was 21 when I went into the Road Theater, and we were lucky because there was a grant that was the city was looking to give out to a theater company, and we got the grant and we started in a huge warehouse in Van Nuys.
How did you know to do that?
Well, the Road had already done a couple of shows and it was in existence, and they knew about this grant, and it was a space, specifically a space that was being given away. So we asked for the space, we put in a proposal, we got it. And we were there for a few years, and now we're at the Lancashire Art Center, and the company's about 15 years old now.
Oh, it is. And did you start directing when you were there?
I did.
Were you the artistic director as well?
I was. There was actually 4 artistic directors, which is, I think, the only theater in history.
Were you fighting all the time?
Well, it was interesting. There was a lot of that, but there was a lot of love too. It was sort of both, but we're very passionate artists.
Because doesn't an artistic director want to pick what he wants to be produced and sometimes directed? Yeah, the whole season.
That's right. So we had to compromise. But what was great is we were a working artistic board. So when one person directed, the other 3 produced and made sure everything ran smoothly. So
you had top quality people doing things.
Oh,
people
yeah.
who knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
So
wonderful company.
Then you were directing there too, as well as being artistic director.
I did.
Were you acting?
No.
No.
Gave that up.
Were you writing?
I actually don't write. I teach writers, but I don't write.
How do you teach and not write?
Well, I was fortunate enough to work on a couple of Pulitzers in my youth. Angels in America, the writing workshop, actually, Angels in America, Perestroika. So I watched as the director and the dramaturg worked with Tony Kushner, and that was very early on in my training at the Mark Taper Forum. And I was also lucky enough to work on the Cider House Rules.
Oh.
And Peter Parnell wrote that. And again, watching him with the dramaturg, working with the director and the dramaturg to create the piece. And I loved the process of dramaturgy, and I loved the process of working with writers. And when I was at the Road, we only do original work. So I worked with writers on original pieces, and eventually I just decided that's what I want to do, is work with writers in any way I can.
So you work with new talent, or talent, and you direct the way they're writing their work, I guess.
Generally, I direct the pieces that I develop.
Do you?
Yes.
So you're developing a play, in other words. Do you edit it?
I give suggestions, but I'm very careful to never write a word and never edit a word.
Is that right?
But I do suggest.
You've directed a lot of plays. You've done festivals.
I have. I did a play called Pandora's Trunk at the National Black Theater Festival, which originally opened with Kim Fields at LATC here in Los Angeles, and then we went to the National Black Theater Festival in North Carolina with Tanya Pinkins.
And she's
in
a
one of the
Tony
roles.
winner, isn't she?
She is. She's in Carolina Change, or was. I think it's still running.
Yeah. But she got a Tony for that.
She did.
Did you, when you're directing someone like that, do you become really close? Are you friendly, or is it just a kind of a directing and actor?
She was wonderful. She was a lot of fun to work with. Extremely creative. She brought so much to the role that she was playing, and we just had a great time. And we were also at the festival, and a festival is sort of a crazy environment, and it's a very busy environment, so you bond because you have to think on your feet very fast. Especially, we had the set that came in was wrong, so we had to sort of quickly come up with a whole new concept for the show because the set was such a huge part of the concept, and you just have to do it in like a half an hour, and you just have to get it done.
So people work together.
Yes.
And they're creating.
Yes.
You've worked at the LA Women's Theater too.
I do. I'm actually on the board of directors.
Oh, you are?
I am. This is my second year, and it's a solo festival. And we invite about 20 to 30 solo artists a year to perform. And
that's right. That's a great thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really fun. And this year we're going to be at the Lee Strasberg in March. And it's a very exciting program. We just finished programming it. We just picked the artists and just made the offers. So
we'll wait to see who's coming on.
It's going to be very exciting.
But in the meantime, just down the street at the Elephant Lillian Lab.
Yes.
Studio, actually, theater, right?
Yeah.
It's a
theater. There's 4 theaters in there, I believe.
You're doing Tennessee and Hollywood.
Yes.
What
Tennessee
are you
Williams.
doing? Tennessee Williams in Hollywood.
I've always wanted to do the lyrical plays of Tennessee Williams because nobody does them. And so I had worked on a piece in college called Talk to Me Like the Rain and Let Me Listen. And we decided that we would do that with Dan Oliverio is directing that. And then I looked for a piece that isn't done much because of the lyrical quality, and we found a piece called The Case of the Crushed Petunias.
Oh, Crushed Petunias, I know. I love that.
It's really fun piece. It's really a great project to work on. And we also, Dan actually commissioned a writer named Anna Baum to create a piece, an original piece that's a spoof on Tennessee Williams.
So what would a spoof be? What would that be?
It's a parody. It sort of combines all of your favorite Tennessee Williams characters and situations and spoofs them, parodies them to a certain degree. And it's a lot of fun. It should be a really fun evening.
So it's a more, I mean, do you have to know everything, or is it like an inside jokes?
Well, I think most people, it's sort of Streetcar Named Desire, the really sort of famous pieces that most people would know.
Tennessee Williams is a Pulitzer Prize winner.
Yes, he is.
And you've worked with a lot of prize-winning people. How does he write about women? Because you've worked with a lot of women.
Well, I think his view on women is very interesting. The piece that I'm directing, The Case of the Crushed Petunias, he wrote for Helen Hayes, actually.
Oh, he did?
He did, originally. And so it's a really whimsical, fun, sweet piece.
Does he like women, do you think?
I think he does. I think he admires them and wonders about their mystery.
That's what I wondered, if you could bring that out. And as a director, you bring those things out?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this particular piece is about questioning your life and making decisions about a big decision, a big change in your life, and if you should take a risk or not. And I really love the piece for that, and that's the part we're trying to bring out mostly in it.
Well, we're going to see Tennessee in Hollywood, because he was in Hollywood all the time, right?
That's right.
With his films and his plays and all of his work.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Che Rae.
Thank you so much
for being with us. And,
my pleasure.
We really enjoyed having you. And don't go away. We'll be right back with Charlotte Ince. Hi, I'm Joan Quinn. Welcome back to the Joan Quinn Profiles. I'm here with artist Charlotte Ince, who was born and raised in Pennsylvania, and after college she went to Paris to study at the École Nationale des Beaux-Arts. Obviously, you wanted to be an artist because you went to the Beaux-Arts.
Yes.
Did you study
Exactly.
here? I mean, in the United States first?
Just a college, an undergraduate degree.
But not in art?
Not in art, no.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
I had
what were you
always
gonna do?
painted. I had always painted, and it was always something I wanted to do, but sort of got waylaid in other subjects. So, and just, I don't know, I think it took Paris to bring that out a lot, yeah.
But did you really plan to go and be an artist when you went to the Beaux-Arts?
To plan.
Yeah.
I was pursuing something. I was studying. I was going along a path. I don't know if I intended to become an artist. I mean, that's something that happens along the way.
But when you go, like, to a foreign country, you have to learn the language, you have to learn how to live there,
Yes.
you have to go to school.
So and that took up a lot of time.
I see. So all those things were making a difference, I guess, in your career as you went along. You studied printmaking also,
Yes.
aside from the Beaux-Arts?
Yes.
And I thought that was interesting because you studied as an apprentice.
Yes, I did that for a while. There were 2 studios in Paris where they took people on to study printmaking.
And what kind
the
of
various,
print?
Etchings, acid on copper.
Did you know any of that before?
No.
Oh, so you did learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Your work's been on exhibits all through the U.S. and in Europe and Australia. When you show your work, is it a mix of painting and etching, or is it just one particular
No, it's
kind?
usually a mix.
Is it?
Yes, and I do a lot of drawing as well. So I draw quite a lot. I have a lot of pencil drawings.
And so you would show all
and
of...
pastels, yeah.
You
So
would
it's a
show-
mix, yeah. Yeah, it depends on the subject that I'm treating too. You know, sometimes it'll be just drawing, sometimes just etching.
What would you call your work? What style? Because we have something here, and then I have, say, something like this. I'm going to show just a few things, and then you can tell me. Tell me about this piece that's on the screen now. This is great.
Yes, it is a nice painting. It's a large one. It's 1.60 by 1.30 m. And there are 105 heads on there that weren't planned. I had to count them afterwards to know how many.
What do you call this?
105.
105?
Yes.
That's great. And did they use that for something in particular after you'd painted it?
No,
You just
no, that
exhibited
was a
them.
commission, and it's in a private home.
I'm going to show this
Here in
too,
California.
actually.
Decisions.
Do you use live models
No.
when you work?
No.
How do you
I-
conjure up these people?
I don't know how it happens, but it happens. It's I work in a kind of automatic way. I start with spots of color on the canvas, or on and little by little the painting takes on a life of its own, and
What
I'm like
mean-
there to follow, maybe, I guess, in a sense.
Is there an inspiration when it starts? When you start?
Yes,
putting-
the human face, the human
that's it?
face. Yeah.
All the time, the human face. Here,
I
this
start
is-
with the face.
This is,
That's a monoprint. It was a large monoprint, maybe 60 centimeters by 60 centimeters, a nice square. And I did that with on a copper plate with a paintbrush and a lot of turpentine.
but
And did
all,
it very quickly.
all of your work is people-oriented.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, I have another one. I think this is great, too. I want to show some of this.
And that's called Who's Been Eating in My Dish?
How long,
A family portrait.
when you went to Paris, did you decide to stay there? Were you going to stay there?
No, I wanted to go for a year, and then one thing and another. I fell in love with the city and wanted to stay on. And probably in the 4th year, decided to stay on longer.
And then, so how long has it been?
30 years now.
30 years, from 1 year to 30 years. But you've produced all this work. You don't live in Paris now.
No, I left the city about 10 years ago, and I'm living down in the countryside, in the Lot Valley. It's a beautiful area.
Does your work change? Did it change from when you were living in the city to when you're living in the country?
Yes, I think so. There's one of the paintings there on the crowds again. That the colors became paler.
When you
And-
went to the country, they became paler?
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't think that.
No, in the last 4 or 5 years, the color scheme has changed a bit.
You talk about,
Maybe because the sunlight is all around me now.
you know, there's an absence of detail, I notice, in most of your work. The backgrounds aren't filled. Is that particular to what you do?
Yes. I don't, not a lot of detail.
I felt like there was an absence of detail, like the backgrounds aren't cluttered.
No. I think it's also to bring out the face more and the subject itself.
Because this is on the set. This piece is on the set. And it shows up very well here. But you can see what I'm talking about when we talk about nothing else in the back.
No, rarely.
Is it conscious?
Yes, of course. I'm conscious to the extent that,
I'm going to
Because
show,
the
I'm gonna
figure
show
is-
this too. Because this is a lighter. This goes into the lighter colors that you were talking about. And who is this man?
that series was called Espace Laboratoire, and it was about scientists working in laboratories.
So did you just made up your own scientist?
Yes, I did.
I see, I see. And the texture. You use texture and lights and darks. How do you explain that?
I like contrasting colors. I like this one with the green and the purple, two impossible colors that came together in that painting, and I just continued it. I felt as I was following something.
So those are Those are very contrasting. They look beautiful on the screen too. But do you use heavy texture to also
No,
make yourself?
that was done with a lot of light glazes.
But do you use texture? It doesn't?
No,
It's always
it's a very,
flat.
very flat surface.
Let's show this.
That was a study of the couple, a cat and mouse.
Cat and mouse. And one more.
And another couple, a couple without a title.
What other arts relate to your work?
What do you do?
Like poetry, music.
Music.
Does it? Tell us how that relates to what you're doing.
I think painting can sometimes be like an orchestration, especially the way I work, where I'll start with a face and then calling forth different things to come into play, a color, and it's it's not something that you can put into words, and maybe that's where I find that music is more akin to painting than poetry or writing.
Do you listen to music
All the time.
when you're painting? Something like this was used on the cover. How would something like this happen? Would they commission you to do this?
I was exhibiting this work in Paris, a work on crowds. This journalist came by the exhibit and saw the painting and said to me, "Come by and see me on Monday. I think this painting would be perfect for the issue that we're going to do on civics." And that's how that happened.
And that is a very interesting thing, because it's so difficult to get your work shown, especially in editorial or in publications of any sort. Do you have you worked toward that?
No, it just happened. Yeah, and then when one happened, two others followed, and
too?
yes,
This one?
yes, and that was called Three Fawns in Search of an Afternoon.
Oh, was this commissioned?
No,
Not again.
No. That magazine got in touch with me, and they wanted to look at my work, and they picked out the images that they thought pertained to.
So they didn't. Yeah, I love this. I love this. This is not on the cover of a magazine, but tell us about this.
That's a painting that's very dear to me, and I've had it for a long time. I put it on an exhibit once a long time ago, but I have never exhibited it again. And it's called American Post-Gothic.
And it explains, it's inspired by?
Well, you know that famous painting of American Gothic. But the title came long after the painting was finished. What inspired it? One summer.
Yes.
Yes. These figures came out of the smoke in the back, summer and smoke, and yeah.
Here we have one other cover,
Yes.
right?
The family, again.
So the same thing, they came and looked at your work. It's very graphic. It's like graphic arts in a way. But there's a different kind of soul to it, where... Yes, tell us a little bit.
But about well, I think starting from sort of an imaginary perspective, I'm trying to capture something of the underlying aspects of existence, and it could be considered like a sub-realism, really.
In a way, yeah. But has your style changed over the last 30 years being in France?
Has it changed? I think it changes gradually. I think there's been a shift in this last couple of years. I think that the study with the couples is not the hard contrasting colors anymore.
Well, you said things are getting softer and things are changing, but you think that's you, or is it living in the country?
There's so many variables.
I know.
I don't know how to pinpoint it. I think that I just do the work and try to, it's a sort of explaining it after the fact.
If somebody came to you and said they, paint me, like I was talking to you on the phone, I said, okay, you're going to do a painting of me because I have a lot of portraits. What would the first step be?
Well, this is the first step.
This is the first step?
Yes, meeting you, talking with you.
Yeah.
And I would try to recapture that.
But you don't do it with photos, or you don't have the person sitting?
No. But maybe, maybe I would have a photo. I would like to maybe have a photo.
And then, but you work a lot in oil, but on paper.
Like oil. Yes, a lot of the time.
Is that different?
Yes, it goes very quickly. And the paper absorbs the paint in a different way than canvas does. So I could do something like a quick sketch with oil, whereas if I were to do a quick sketch in oil on canvas, it would be, the canvas is too present, but the paper absorbs it, and it can come out as a little oil sketch.
So you do that a lot?
Yes, I like that. I like working.
This piece on here is on canvas.
Yes.
And then the etchings are they on handmade paper? Or?
On handmade paper.
Oh, they are, but
yes.
You don't make that.
No.
You haven't started that process.
No. You need a lot of hours for a day to do that.
So if you're walking through the country or you're in your village, do you paint the people you see?
They sometimes appear on my canvases.
That's
what happens.
Because that's what I was saying. If you sit for a commission or you just see somebody, you don't actually need someone to sit there the way you're telling it.
No.
So you see people in your village.
And they appear in my work. Yeah.
And when you show them, do they know that it's...
Well, I don't even know that it's them. And it's that other people coming through the studio will say, oh, that looks like so-and-so. And I'll look at it myself and I'll say, yes, it does.
And so theater sets? Any theater sets?
No.
I can't get you connected to any of the arts. You are a true painter in your village in France, painting away day after day.
Yes. And listening to music.
Charlotte, thank you for coming and visiting us today.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you. And thanks for watching the Joan Quinn Profiles. Keep writing to 777 South Figueroa, 44th floor, Los Angeles 90017. And we'll see you next time on the Joan Quinn Profiles.